Welcome to the Mount Pleasant Podcast, featuring discussions and interviews about the people, places, and events that make Mount Pleasant such a special place.
This is the Mount Pleasant Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Cleary, and all thanks to the great people of Mount Pleasant Magazine, I get the honor, the privilege of introducing you to Mount Pleasant, the people who make it such a special place to do business, to work, and even to live. We're introducing you to Mount Pleasant's best on the Mount Pleasant Podcast. It's certainly hard to understate the importance of education for our boys and girls, our children, our youth. However, these days, discussions about school tend to be more about the 3 R's. There's more options for parents to consider these days. And today, we thought we'd provide you some information on perhaps one of those options for you. I'm Brian Cleary on the Mount Pleasant Podcast. We're joined by John Byrnes. John is the president of Christ our King-Stella Maris School in Mount Pleasant. John, let's start with this to alleviate any confusion. Christ our King is a Catholic school. Does that mean my son or daughter or I need to be Catholic to have them attend your institution?
No, we are a Catholic school, and we pride ourselves in being a Catholic school, but we are open to anybody who wants to come to our school. But you just have to realize that during each class, each day, there will be a religion class, and we do cover Catholic topics in those religion classes.
So it's a Catholic education, obviously. And in terms on where I need to live to go to Christ our King-Stella Maris School, can you lay that out for me?
Sure, but the vast majority of our students come east of the Cooper, but we have students that have come from James Island, Johns Island. They parents want to seek out a good education. This is a place to seek it out too.
And if folks are seeking you out online right now, we go to the Christ our King-Stella Maris website. There's a big, huge message there that greets me. Congratulations, I guess, is the first thing to say. Explain to people why everybody at Christ our King-Stella Maris School can be celebrating today.
Sure. Last Tuesday, we were named a National Blue Ribbon School by the U.S. Department of Education. There were 353 schools from across the nation that were named Blue Ribbon schools. There's 5 in South Carolina this year. It's a big honor to do that. Not everybody does. But it's really a testament to what the school does every single day to educate its students. It's based on academics, but also innovative things that the school is doing to help educate in today's world.
And for Christ our King-Stella Maris School, this is the second time, I believe, you've been awarded the Blue Ribbon?
Yes, you can only earn the award once every 10 years or so, depending on how it goes. It's 9 or 10, I don't know the exact number, but the school earned it back in 2009. There's been 10,000 awards over the 40 years that the Blue Ribbon has been around, and it's been awarded to 9,700 schools. So to me, the math tells me that there's only been 300 schools around the country that have earned it more than once.
And for the Crusaders to be one of 5 schools in South Carolina, only 5 in the Palmetto State, you're one of them. That's got to make everybody, staff, students, parents feel great.
Oh, when we made the announcement, you should have heard the hooping and hollering and the jumping was going on in the gym when we announced it to all the students. They were over the moon about it.
And I have to think, as the president of Christ our King-Stella Maris, this is an award that everybody deserves, because from the janitorial staff, the administration staff, the teachers, everybody's involved in this, right?
It is definitely a school award, and it's something that from top to bottom we're proud, and everybody works to make sure, because it's based on so many things, especially how the school is adapting to the world today, yet at the same time staying true to our Catholic education and philosophies.
This is where the pages of Mount Pleasant Magazine come alive. Thanks so much for joining me, Brian Cleary, today on the Mount Pleasant Podcast. We're joined by John Byrnes. John is the president of Christ our King-Stella Maris School as we talk about education here on the podcast. Now, John, you're the president. A lot of people are used to going to a school where they have a principal. Christ our King-Stella Maris has a principal as well. Can you tell me how that works at Christ our King, where you have a president and a principal?
Sure. The president-principal model is really used mostly in high schools, but because of our size, we have 650 students, and the complexities of running a school of this size, the pastors thought it would be a good idea 12 years ago to move to this model. Think of the president as a CEO and the principal as almost a chief operating officer, with the operations being educating the students. So it's a good mix, because a lot of times principals don't always have the background for handling things like budgeting and fundraising and all that comes along with that side of it. And this allows the principal, who's Mrs. Susan Splendito, to concentrate on the teachers, the school, the education side of things. And it works really, really well.
So I would have to think then, as a parent, it's a better system because my principal isn't getting bogged down into some of the things that are away from education. They're more focused on students, teachers, classroom.
It definitely allows the principal to do those things. I don't know if the model works for everybody. A smaller school might be a little bit difficult to do it, but at our school and the way we focus on our education and all the other things we have to do, we've been around for 73 years. So with that, our school is, we've got to keep the school updated and the facility updated. So there's an effort that goes into that.
Podcasting has exploded in popularity, especially local podcasts. As of 2022, 62% of Americans have listened to a podcast. 38% have listened in the last month. 26% in the last week. The podcasting audience is booming with no signs of slowing down. Call the podcast hotline to be featured on these podcasts or to receive information about podcast marketing. Call 843-530-0403 or visit carolinapodcasts.com.
You're listening to the Mount Pleasant Podcast.
Well, let's get down to the nuts and bolts of education at Christ Our King Stella Maris School. Talk a little bit about the school and what's your vision in terms of the education for the students?
We are a 4K through 8th grade school. Each grade has three classes within that. And what we do as a school is in our mission, it's educate the whole child. And we do that through academics, faith-based, through extracurriculars like music and sports, but also through stewardship. We were big on each of our students doing service projects and doing more and more for the community. And we do that in a whole host of ways.
Now you've got kindergarten through 8th grade, and you said 650 students. So in terms of a private school, you might be thought of a larger one in terms of enrollment, but there's still room for that one-on-one with the student and teacher?
Definitely. We have a very low student to teacher ratio. We also have a resource program at the school, which allows some of the students that learn a little differently to be able to have a little bit more one-on-one interaction in the classroom with another teacher.
And let me give you the opportunity, John, as the president of Christ Our King Stella Maris, to sort of put folks at ease. There can be some people who would be like, oh, a Catholic education. Oh, no, they're going to try to indoctrinate my son, my daughter. Can you put me at ease that I can send my child to the school, and while Catholic education will be a part of it, it's not an indoctrination?
No, what we do at our school is we do all the educating of all the subjects are covered. We also have religion class. Our students, we go to Mass once a week. So they will learn about the Catholic faith. We are not, other than exposing it to them, we're not hindering anybody for their own faith, but we just, at our school, this is what we concentrate on, what we teach our students about. So, but we are about 93% Catholic and 7% non-Catholic at the school.
Education, our subject today on the Mount Pleasant Podcast. I'm Brian Cleary, joined by the president of Christ Our King Stella Maris School here in Mount Pleasant. He is John Byrnes. John, the president of the institution. So, John, tell me a little bit something that might be unique, something different, something that you're proud about, that the students, faculty, administration, what's different about Christ Our King that maybe as a parent I should want to send my child there? Sure.
One of the things that we have the academic side, but we also have some of the extracurriculars we do. We have an excellent basketball program. We have archery. We have tennis. We have volleyball. We have our dance team is nationally recognized in competitive dance. We have cheer. We have a new chess club that was started that has over 60 kids in it. So there's lots of things that go on. We're very proud of our resource program. We're proud of our guidance program, but we're also proud that when the kids come to our school, right now, if you can't see it now, but in my office is all full with toiletries and a whole bunch of supplies that the kids have collected that we're going to be giving away next week to a needy organization. And each week when we have our mass at school, the offertory, we give it to different local charities. And what's good about it is we have the charity come to one of our assemblies. So when we give the check to that group, the kids can see firsthand where that money is going. They can learn from that organization as to what they're doing, whether it's helping the poor, or whether it's helping the military, whatever it is. We bring those groups in so the kids can see firsthand. Our 8th graders, every year they have to do a service project as part of their graduation needs to do. And they do a local charity that they're going to help they group into 2 or 3 or 4 kids at a time to do that. And then we have a big assembly in the evening where parents get to come, kids get to come, visitors get to come, so they can see, the kids can stand in front of it and tell what their project was. And it's been greatly received throughout, and the kids love doing it.
And so the community service aspect for the students there is not just hey, this 1 week out of the school year, we're going to focus on that. This is something that recurs throughout the school year?
It happens all throughout the school year, and we're constantly, every week, and the kids get to pick the charities, like where the mass oratory money goes and things like that. So they're deeply involved with it all.
I think some people would be surprised in terms of the amount of extracurricular activities at Christ Our King Stella Maris. When you look at somebody, Wandell High, of course, they've got a band, they've got a football team, they've got that. I don't think you see that as much with just elementary, middle schools, but you guys have a pretty wide, as you mentioned, some of them, a wide, diverse program in terms of extracurriculars for your kids.
Yeah, it's funny. Right now we're putting together our basketball teams for this coming year, and from 5th through 8th, we're going to have 12 different teams. So there's a lot of that goes into that. So, and that takes a big involvement, and it gets a lot of people involved. And the interesting part now is scheduling the gym so that the practices can all take place. So there's a little jockeying for position that goes on, but at the same time, volleyball is going on now, and then archery will start up, and it just goes on and on. But when we believe that we are educating the whole child, this is an important aspect of it. And at the same time, it teaches all the students things like time management. When they have to get their homework done, they still have to do things. They still have to get the right amount of sleep. And it all comes into preparing them for the next stages of their life, which when they leave here is high school and then beyond.
And I noticed on your website, you lay out the core values at Christ Our King. Can you instruct our audience and the folks that are listening about the core values at Christ Our King?
Yeah, we believe in, I told you about the stewardship, we told you about our faith base and the academic side of it, but it's the whole child is the important aspect, and the more we can educate and keep them going. It doesn't matter if you're a faculty member, a parent, a student, those are our 3 main components of who we are and who we want to be. So we're lucky to have very supportive parents. We have a well-trained and fantastic faculty. And the students are open to all the learning things and the opportunities that they have here. So it's one giant package that we put together, but it's like the old saying of God, country, and family. So it's the same type of aspect that we have here, and that's what we want everybody to know about our school, but everybody within the school to know that it's important as well.
John Byrnes is the president of Christ Our King Stella Maris School in Mount Pleasant, and our guest today on the Mount Pleasant podcast as we talk education. It's important for your son or daughter. It's important for parents as well. I'm Brian Cleary, and John, what is that parent administration, parent teacher relationship like as a parent? Am I going to be open and have an opportunity to go back and forth with the folks at Christ Our King Stella Maris?
We have many opportunities for parents. One of the things we focused on the past few years was increasing the amount of communication that happens from the school to the parent community. Some will say we inundate them now with too much information, but we'd rather have too much than too little. We do things like there may be a day that we'll send several email blasts home to parents so they know exactly what's going on or what's coming up. They can refer to our website. We have a home and school association that is also representing, I guess, but also they are communicating with our parents, and they when we need something done, let's just say we need a group of parents to help. We want to do a fall cleanup, or let's say we want to have a fundraiser. The Homeless School Association gets a lot of that information out, and then several times every month or two, we have a Homeless School Association meeting where parents can come out, and we'll do other things. We might talk about a certain topic about, and let's just say it's internet safety or something. We'll bring a speaker in to help with those. So there's lots of communication that goes on. We have parents that are in the school throughout the day for different things. So you might be helping out with the hot dog lunches, or it might be that we have on Fridays, there's ice cream, so they'll help with that. So, and then it's open. We try to make it all work, but at the same time, we also are cognizant of the need to be a safe and welcoming school at the same time.
John, the school's been there for more than 70 years. How long have you been president at King-Stella?
I've been the president this is my 12th year, and I'm the first president. So it was the 2012, 2013 was the first year that it started up, and it's been great. The good thing about having white hair is you look the same year after year after year. So, but it's been good. I've enjoyed it every day.
Now, you mentioned the food. Food about everything, and I just remember my days in school. Pizza Friday was the big thing. What's your favorite? What's your go-to if you've got to have lunch in the cafeteria? What are you looking forward to?
Well, the hot dog day is a big day because the kids get all excited about that. Some of the other days it's a little bit more healthier than that. But we also will have some of the contests we have at the if a class does something or they get to bring in the most stuff for a charity or whatever, then they usually win a pizza lunch, and that always is another thing that goes over real well for them.
So, John, talk to a parent who might be listening, watching our podcast today. If they're interested in perhaps enrolling their son or daughter at King-Stella Maris, what should be the first step that they take?
The first step is to go look at our website. That would be a great way. The next is to contact the school, and they would reach out to Miss Brittany Karimi at the school, and she is our admissions director, and she would start the process. The best thing then is to arrange for a tour of the school. Best time to have a tour is while school's open and in, so you get to see how it all flows. And then Brittany will run through all the specifics of what the next steps are from there.
And in terms of enrolling, if someone's got a son or daughter, do they have to wait until next September to come in? Can we enroll through the school year? How does that work?
Right. A lot of times you'll see that after the first marking period, we'll get some more interest into the school because maybe somebody moved into the area and the school they chose first wasn't a good fit, and they'll look. So it doesn't matter to us when somebody wants to come in, as long as we have room. And some of the grades are full, some aren't. But if we always try to find a way, because I think it's important that if somebody really wants to get a Catholic school education, that we can make it happen for them.
And John, I have to think in your 12 years, obviously you've seen a lot of change, whether it's from all of a sudden back when you and I were in school, there were no cell phones, social media wasn't a part of that. As you look at the kids that make up the kindergarten through 8th that are crusaders now, a positive feeling about the youth of America going forward? A lot of times, kids these days are kind of, back when we were kids, it was so much better. Can you, as an educator and an administrator now, kind of give us a sense of kids today and how you think that's going for them?
Sure. The first thing I'll start with is there hasn't been a generation that's passed that hasn't said that same thing about the generation that came after.
Very true.
So it's just different for everybody, and we have different things that now we have to be on the lookout for. So, in when we were growing up, there were different things that the faculty had to be looking for and parents had to be looking for, as long as you came home before the lights came on, that kind of thing. But a lot of things could happen before the lights came on, right? So, but the phones and technology, because our middle schoolers they each have a Chromebook. We just have to have additional safeguards in place. It's one thing we do have is something called Bark on all of our devices. So if any of the students ever look at something, there's a whole bunch of topics that it could, let's just say it's violence or something that is harmful or drugs or things like, if they ever go onto the internet and look at any of that, I get a notice, their parents can get a notice, and you can kind of find out what it was. But at the same time, especially on the violence side, I will get a notice. Let's just say the kids are studying World War II. I might get flooded with notices because they're looking up tanks or they might be looking up a battle, and yet it still comes off and says, but I'd rather have more notices come to me for me to look at than less. And so it's good, but it's nice that the students also know that there's that device is being looked at and monitored, and we filter things that can't even come in to the school, so they can't get at 90% of things that the inquisitive minds may want to look at. But it's good that we have the safeguards in place nonetheless.
So it sounds like you've got a positive outlook on the kids and where we're heading for the future. So let's circle back around then to where we started. A Blue Ribbon Award for Christ Our King, Stella Maris. It really sets you apart. Only one of, I believe you said, 5 schools in South Carolina to receive that honor this year?
There were 5 schools in South Carolina, of which we were one, so we're happy about that. And it's the whole package. It's the students, it's the faculty, it's the parents that help make it happen. So, you were talking about the kids of today. The kids are great. They're inquisitive. They want to learn. They want to do the things. But just like every other generation of kids, if they can find an easy way out, they will find the easy way out. But by having the programs such as the extracurriculars with the sports and all of that, at the same time, we're getting to instill in them that, work is good. There's nothing wrong. And the harder you work, the more you're going to get out of it. So we are very pleased. Our kids go on to high school, they do well in high school, but we'll really hear it is when they get to college and they realize how much better prepared they are than some of the other folks that are going, because they can handle things like managing their time. They can handle things of knowing how to prioritize the work. And because think about it, when they get to college is when they're really getting that freedom. And, this mom can't be there, dad can't be there. So they have to have these things instilled in them by that age so that they can handle it. And we hear time and time again, and it's the kids coming back and telling us that's what's really good about it.
And we have to make that one exception, of course, of the generations. When you were talking about kids are always looking for the easy way out. It's so true, except for your generation and mine. We were the exceptions of that.
We walked uphill in the snow both ways, right?
That's right, both ways. So you've got a lot of reasons to be proud that you are in charge of the Crusaders. If people want to get more information, you mentioned going to the website. What's that web address that people should visit?
It's www.coksm.org. And the phone number from the school, if you wanted to call, is 843-884-4721.
And after 12 years of being the top Crusader, I sense that you're looking forward to some more.
Yeah, I'm enjoying every day, and we keep getting better at what we do because we have a continuous improvement program at the school. So we never want to rest. We always want to get a little bit better each year. And, they always say that, if you could be 1% better each day in the course of 100 days, you would be 100% better. So it's trying to keep doing it better and better and better. It's important.
If education is important to you, and I'm sure it is, particularly if you've got a son or daughter, Christ Our King, Stella Maris is an option that you consider right here in Mount Pleasant. And this is where the pages of Mount Pleasant magazine come alive. We try to bring you up to date on everything that's going on in Mount Pleasant, including the fact that Blue Ribbon Academy, that Blue Ribbon School, that Blue Ribbon Award winner is here in Mount Pleasant. President John Byrnes from Christ Our King, Stella Maris. John, thanks for your time today.
Sure, I appreciate it, and have a great day.
I'm Brian Cleary, thanking you for joining us on this edition of the Mount Pleasant Podcast.
Thanks for spending your time with the Mount Pleasant Podcast, your community, your podcast. Listen to past and future episodes at mountpleasantpodcast.com.